You see, most entrepreneurs don't have a motivation problem. They don't have a discipline problem, and they're not lazy. Not all of them, at least, right? Learn a lot. They've invested in themselves. Some of them are even making money, right? But they still stuck. And the reason why they stuck has nothing to do with their effort. Not because they have value, but no structure. That one issue explains why income feels inconsistent, why messaging keeps changing, and why growth feels harder than it should. What that actually means, when I say unstructured value, I'm talking about people who know things, people who can help others, who's, utilizing their pain, they turn it to their purpose, people who have experience, skills, insight, right? But none of it is packaged into a clear transformation someone can easily understand and buy. They might say things like, I help people grow, yada, 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 insert blank. I do consulting, I coach entrepreneurs, and that sounds fine, but it's not necessarily clear, right? Buyers don't buy effort, they don't buy potential, and they don't buy intelligence. What they buy is clarity. So when value is unstructured, three things almost always happens. First, messaging feels muddy. You struggle to explain what you do without over-explaining. Secondly, income feels inconsistent. So some months good, some months aren't, and you don't know why. Third, growth depends on effort. When you push harder, things move. When you pull back, everything slows down. See, that's not a work ethic problem necessarily, but that's a design problem. The digital ecosystem. And this is why smart people miss this. This specific thing traps smart people specifically. When you're intelligent and capable, you can make almost anything work a little. You can sell without clarity. You can probably help people without structure. You can even brute force some results. And because it kind of works, you assume the problem isn't somewhere else. So what do? You do more, right? More content, more platforms, more offers, more funnels, more strategies. Don't get me wrong, you can do that, but adding more on top of the confusion doesn't create clarity. What it does create is chaos. That's why some of the hardest working people feel the least stable. You ever notice the dummy can go do more than the smartest person in the room sometimes because they simplified things. People think an offer is just something that you sell, but it's not. An offer is actually a decision. It's a decision about who you help, what changes for them, and what problem you stop trying to solve. What transformation are they getting out of this? Without that decision, everything downstream just gonna become guesswork. Marketing becomes guessing, content becomes guessing, pricing becomes guessing. So hear me out, this is important. A lot of people assume that once they sell high ticket offers, the problem is solved. It's not. High ticket pricing does not automatically mean that the business is well designed. Yeah, you got a high ticket offer, it might be, premium or whatever, but there are plenty of expensive offers that work, but only because the person delivering them carries the weight. Here goes a simple test. If income drops when delivery stops, the business is dependent, not scalable. It ain't a pricing issue, it's structure again, right? So high ticket can hide bad design for a while. Eventually it shows up as burnout, caps, right? You capping yourself out, or frustration. A real business starts with a core offer, not multiple offers, not variations, not a few things I can sell. Now it is a digital ecosystem to it, but overall it's just one core transformation, one clear outcome that everything else expands from. When there's a core, content has direction, messaging simplifies, monetization becomes intentional. Without a core, people keep adding things, hoping something finally sticks. But you need an ecosystem, a way to add these things in that makes sense and it all correlates together. That's why so many businesses feel scattered, so many entrepreneurs feel scattered. See, a digital ecosystem is not about having more products, it's about connection. When your offer, content, authority, and monetization are designed around the same core outcome, growth compounds instead of resets. So you're not rebuilding every single month, every single year, but you're expanding. Now you can scale. You design it once, then build on top of it. That's the difference between repetition and scale. People avoid simplicity because it forces decisions. One buyer, one outcome, one clear path. Complexity feels productive, but simplicity feels exposed. But simplicity is what allows systems to actually work. Believe it or not, it's crazy. It sounds so crazy, but it's so simple. Clarity creates momentum, not more options. If you're capable, experienced, and still feel like things are harder than they should be, it's worth asking whether the issue is effort or whether it's structure. It'll start making sense when you start answering these type of questions, because once the right structure is in place, momentum stops becoming forced, systems, right? It starts being natural.